Where are we? Thank God.
Okay, welcome
everyone. My name is Temitope. Okay. Thank you so much. My name is Temitope Olodo, and I just want to welcome everyone. Right now, we're going to be on Facebook, we're going to be on LinkedIn, and we are also on YouTube. So right now, what I want you to do is like this page, share this page, start sharing it right now. And let me start by calling on each of my guests to just tell us about themselves and what they do, more or less, to pitch themselves before we dive into the issues that we have at hand. So I'll start with Mr. Sheyi. Welcome on board, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. My name is Sheyi Adetayo. I'm the founder and president of Eon's Intelligence. I'm a counterintelligence expert, counterterrorism expert, and anything security. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And for many that have not had the opportunity of actually seeing a copy of that that document, that magazine, which online magazine, I'll say please look out for it right now, because believe you me, it gives you all the information you need to know about Africa and Nigeria in particular. When it comes to security, it's detailed. They don't mess around. They give you the detail. So let me go to Ambassador Roy. Please tell our viewers about yourself, sir.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ambassador Dr. Roy Oame Ohideve. I'm a military veteran. I'm the National Secretary for Retired Members of Nigerian Forces. I'm also the National PRO for Association of Licensed Private Security Practitioners, Nigeria. I'm the chairman of Consigna Logistics, chairman of Christian Ventures, and the group CEO, August Eye Security Services. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Roy. Ambassador Roy is actually our patron for the Nigerian section of our network, African Security Forum, and is doing a great job trying to educate, trying to instill strong skills into those young future security practitioners of the future for Nigeria. So thank you so much for the great work you are doing, sir. Let me go to Mr. Chidi. How are you, sir? How are you today?
Good evening. I'm fine. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much. For those that don't know about your security report, but most of us were always eager to get your security report updates. Please tell our viewers about what you do and about your blog, sir.
My name is Chidwono. I'm Nigerian, obviously, and I'm former British soldier, British Army reservist. I write about conflict, particularly in Nigeria, West Africa, on the Vox PKB blog, and I give updates and commentary on the conflict and insurgency.
Thank you so much for watching us right now. Can I say a big thank you to you? I know we've got we've got people watching us in United Kingdom. We've got people watching us, in Russia. So I just want to thank you all. And what I want you to do at this point, as you are watching us, please like this page, share this page, let people know that we're live and we're going to dig deep into the conversation right now. So let me first and foremost, let me go straight to Mr. Sheyi, because you're in the center of things. What is your view about what is happening in Kagara? Because we have a situation there with the kidnapping. If you could update our viewers about what is happening with the kidnapping of the school kids in Kagara, please.
For now, nothing much can be said. It seems there's a lot of things going on at the background, quite different from the information we had earlier on as at the beginning of this week. And things seems to be taking a different dimension as it is.
Yes, sir.
And so I will
check your login.
I will not want to make some categorical statements as regarding that now until we hear from the government in terms of what the development is. But we know that the commuters kidnapped from the Niger State mass transit bus, they've been released, and quite a lot of revelation came out of that from those that were released. But as to the school boys and their teachers and those kidnapped from the school, so much seems to be going on in terms of, ransom payment, what was agreed, what was not agreed, at why the delay, why was it called off after there was an initial agreement that the boys will be released, what was the level of Gumi's involvement with the negotiation, and who is pulling the plug and is not allowing the release to pull through, albeit via ransom payment. And we've seen government coming out to say no, they are not being ransomed, they are using back channel to negotiate. And we've also seen the state governor coming out to say that the federal government is not actually giving it support in time. So for now, I think we should just keep our fingers crossed and see how this play out. But definitely, we are monitoring what is happening. We are taking notes, and we believe that by the end of the day, we'll be able to piece all these things together and be able to give Nigerians fact as to what happened behind the scene.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shea. Before I go to Ambassador Roy, let me quickly go to Mr. Chidi. You are in the diaspora. You're watching what is happening. It looks as if these bandits are really enjoying the limelight with going after school kids, and displaying, tank buster equipment. So, what is your view from the diaspora about what is happening? Kidnapping in the hinterland in Nigeria? It seems as if there is no road that is safe. Even they're kidnapping people in their houses in Kaduna and in Katsina, and they're going into people's houses. In fact, I even heard about a fufu seller that was kidnapped and asked for 10 million Nigerian money. So what is your view from a diaspora perspective about the ongoing kidnapping crisis in Nigeria?
Well, I think it's very easy to focus on the northwest, or even maybe not so much the northeast, because that we kind of expect it. But we look at the northwest and people seem to be surprised. But there's nothing that's happening in the northwest that hasn't been happening for a while. It's just that it's now maybe front and center, or they're now doing what we call spectacular attacks, abducting huge numbers of people from schools. And there's no reason for them to do this other than to make a statement, because they've been abducting people for a while. They've been raiding villages. They've been, taking on the authorities and doing quite well out of it, and they've not been, they've not had to go on, rob banks or anything like that, because, you rob a bandit, you kidnap a villager and you tell the village people to raise 10 million. That 10 million will keep you going for a while, and then those villagers now are caught in a cycle where they've sold their land, they've sold their livestock to pay this ransom, and some of them now become bandits as well. So there's a crazy cycle going on up there in northwest, not just the banditry and the kidnapping, but illegal mining, smuggling, all kinds of things. Now, why I say we should park this for one moment is that I would rather take it out of the north, which, unfortunately has become kind of a little bit of a conflict zone, and look at the south now. Most of us on this call are Southerners, and maybe we have a little bit of a feeling that our region is more progressive or more peaceful. But I'm going to challenge that slightly and say we can look at what's happening in the southwest now. Again, this is not a new phenomenon. I remember when I was traveling in Nigeria less than 5 years ago from Lagos up through to Ilorin. all along the road, there were vigilantes, there were hunters, providing security. And even I remember it didn't make any residents at the time, but I remember some Fulani guys came out of the bush. And again, I'm not stereotyping the Fulani, I'm just using this as an example. And somebody started, coming to look at, they've got their weapons, they've got their this. Even then, there was this kind of sense of tension in the area. Now, if I rotate it down, the South, we know about the Niger Delta militants, but look at the Southeast. Now, the Southeast was nominally the most peaceful part of Nigeria. I say nominally because, again, that one gets K-leg, but it was nominally the most peaceful part of Nigeria. Yet we can see within the last 2 weeks, the Nigerian Air Force conducting airstrikes near Olu. This is something that, again, I will say, as somebody from that region, this is something that is visceral. It's something that's crazy, and you can think this is the area part of Nigeria where there's no real armed group, and there's no real war. But the Nigerian Air Force is now conducting airstrikes. The army is, conducting ground operations. So what I'm trying to get at is that the entire country of Nigeria is in a crisis, is at war. And while we're looking at all these big ticket things of soldiers, airstrikes, the basic thing, again, I will narrow it down to is that just without the walls, without the RPGs, without the airstrikes, you are still not safe. The boys that they're calling ESN or whatever in the Southeast, they are not terrorists, they're not militants. These are just ordinary armed robbers and kidnappers. They killed somebody in my village a few days ago. My village is near there, where I'm from, is near that area. And when on the news there was all this stuff about ESN fighting, I spoke to my people. They said these are just these kidnappers. They were fighting over money. One of them got shot and in the process killed 2 other people, innocent children. And when it comes out to media, it's there's this militancy and all of that, but it's not. It's just basic insecurity. Young boys of 18, 20 who carry AK-47s to go out and rob and to kidnap, and it's a normal thing. And the only time it comes to our consciousness is when it spills over. So now we are conscious of the Northwest. Northwest has been under siege for years, if not, I would say decades or a decade plus. It now has entered our consciousness because they've kidnapped a school full of children. Maiduguri just got rocketed a few days ago. It has entered our consciousness because this is not an abnormal thing. All of us that have been to the Northeast, we know what that area is like. We know how shaky it is, but it's not entered our consciousness because something spectacular has happened. So I think we need to maybe look, while we can look at the micro, those individual problems one by one, we need to just face up to one serious problem, which is the entire country is in a crisis. And even if you defeat all these militants, these bandits, these insurgents, these terrorists, you've still got crime completely out of control. And unless we have a really serious conversation with ourselves about the problems within our areas, within our states, within our government, state, local, federal, the prospects are not good.
Thank you so much. Let me go to Ambassador Roy. You've had Mr. Chidi's more or less just throw it wide open. These are a group of criminalities, and we know what is happening in that school. I know that you and Mr. Shei in particular have been involved in all kind of security training, and talking to government for a long time about protecting schools. And it seems as if everything was, going to the deaf air. But here we are now. We are now in a situation where the kidnapping, they're saying those kids, they are ready for those kids to die if they are not being paid the amount they are asking for. What is your assessment of the kidnapping situation in Nigeria? And in 2 minutes, then I'll bring in Professor Liu.
Okay, thank you very much. You see, I appreciate the other speakers. They are our erudite professionals, and we all share ideas on very many platforms. Now, you see, one thing we need to know, Temi, is that we created the monster anyway, but the problem we have now is that we lost the remote. Every monster has its remote. And for Nigeria, one of the greatest opportunity in the world to intimidate crime and criminals is penalty. Penalty and the criminal justice system, effective one. If we have time, you can ask Mr. Sheyi, to tell us about that. He is a specialty in the criminal justice system. You see, so because we have collapsed that structure, that institution, we only rebranded it now from Nigerian prisons to criminal justice system, sorry, for correctional center. And the criminal justice system also involves the investigation, the arrest, the criminal cases, presentation of evidence, till the man gets to prison, till he's brought out from prison and recycled to the society, or he's hung, or goes through the electric chair, or he goes through firing squad, all the different kind of penalties that are available for different kinds of crime. But how come we had to work on the judiciary? How come? Because I was in the army when the military was running its regime. And I know that there is no way the army will sign for the police to buy new vehicles, to build new police station, to buy more weapons, because the police was already a threat to a military regime. If the police are fully armed, a civilian can instigate them to stand against the military. So when the civilians wanted to come back to power, like democracy, you remember Nadeko, Tinubu and so many other people were arrested, they were locked up by the military cabals and all that. That was where they got militarized. And immediately they came out. They started to romance military officers, started to come to officers' mess, help them, give them land, give them house, you know, and that was where the civilians used that tactics to enter the military, to intimidate its cohesiveness, and started to pull it apart. And they use that same thing to work on the judiciary, because the judiciary is the one that can decide and say this election was fraudulent and this candidate cannot sit as governor or president. But you know, the political parties knew this, and they knew that one of the easiest way to truncate the people's choice, the people's wishes by their electoral vote, was to manipulate the figures, was to truncate the process and build up fake figures and get people that are not legitimate voters, that were not registered voters. But the judiciary will be there to always counter the results that you bring and declare it null and void. So they entered the judiciary, they destroyed the structure of the judiciary, corrupted the judges, and brought them out and still disgraced them by themselves. Look at the last Chief Judge Onogen case. Look at all the other judges that they found money in their house, in their sock-away pits, at their backyard. Now, when they destroyed the judiciary, we now assign thugs system. So it's a pity we found ourselves where we are. So we need to tinker the judiciary back to form. We need to allow the security system agencies to run without oppression, without these hoodlums coming to embarrass the agencies. Do you think the IG that refused to go to Benue, last IG that was instructed to report to Benue, he knew that all the people you arrest, you parade them on TV, parade them on social media, at the end of the day, they are walking on the streets, they are back to the bushes. Terrorist guys now that we arrest, we say we want to de-radicalize. So many things are being influenced by existing political structure, political interest, and national compromise. So there is a big clause there that we need to answer to.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Roy. Let me bring in Prof here. Prof, you've listened to Ambassador Roy, and is more or less just go straight down, it dived straight into it. And we know that a lot of top lawyers have come out to criticize Shigumi for calling for blanket amnesty with regard to the ongoing crisis in with regard to all these these bandits. What is your view about the impression that is being given about Nigeria as a nation with regard to this kidnapping saga that we are in currently?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this rare opportunity for us to at least speak to our people, Nigerians, both home and in diaspora. Well, it's quite unfortunate what we've been seeing in the mass media, be it print or electronic media, in the last few years. It's quite unfortunate that some people in the stream of affairs of Nigeria can come out unrelenting, making some inflammatory statement. The people that should know better the consequence of their rhetoric. Again, we are living at that age whereby some people see themselves as I and I are untouchable. This is quite alarming and so disturbing. As I do like to say to people, the whole world is watching. I don't know, regardless of that who that person might be he retired or acting, clergyman of any religious affiliation or subscription. When you made a statement which vibrate to every hooks and cranes of the nation, and which is tantamount to that very fragile thing that pull us together. I guess by now, if we truly have laws and regulation that guide the lands, someone must be maybe by now being invited by, be it NSA or DSS, to come and answer what he or she truly means by those statements. Having said this, when we said about judiciary, when you look at nearly every facet of human endeavor in Nigeria, need restructuring. Restructuring from our educational system, judicial system, even the military need restructuring. So here we are, 21st century. Some people are still holding on. They say, oh, it's by prayer. Oh, we just have to be patriotic. Patriotic in what sense? I find this to be disgusting, that someone can just sit down coolly there, making some inflammatory statement in the name of nation building. What are they building, for heaven's sake? I guess it's about time, at least call it a scapegoat. Some people must be made a sample. No one should be seen as untouchable. We have constitution, we have rules of law, but some people are ready to trample on it at all sales. That's my take. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me go back to Mr. Sheyi, because we are now in a situation where we have serious issues, and some people are saying that Nigerian intelligence sector is failing the country in terms of not being proactive, not giving information. We know they gave information recently, but people are feeling like we should know where these people are. If a sheikh, a religious leader, can know where these people are and can walk up to the place, why is it so difficult for us to be able to penetrate this group? Why is it that we don't even have sleeper cells, intelligent officers working with this group? Why is it so difficult? And I felt, you know what, let me start with you and ask you what your views are on that matter.
Okay, so thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's Kali. Okay, good. Because the
we can hear you.
Appearing still. Okay,
it's
good.
Frozen.
So
yes.
now, you see, I've always been saying these time numbers that intelligence business is not like 1 + 1 = 2. It's a lot different. It's different from other security function, and it's also embedded in all security function. That's why you see that each security agencies have a department, set aside for intelligence. And if you look at the military has its own intelligence department, and also the police. And there is an agency, or there are agencies created specifically for intelligence. And now so many things comes into, you determining what is your information requirement, determining what are your intelligence requirements. Now, intelligence requirement can easily be given, and it is those that are operating within the intelligence business that will be able to determine what are the information requirements for them to be able to deliver on the intelligence requirements as given to them by either the government or those that are managing the intelligence function. Now, you give an example as to Sheikh Gumi knowing where these people are. I can tell you categorically that Sheikh Gumi did not know where they are. This is very simple. There are people that serves as middlemen that helps to connect anytime conversation is to be made with these people. What these people did was to give a location. I said, at social location, we will meet you at a particular location. So the location was given to them, and the location was changed at several times, and the real location was eventually given to them at the last minute. This, were done to ensure that if government is trying to ambush them, it's a kind of a countermeasure. And we should not forget that these people too are sound people. Many of them have they've gone through military training, they've served in military functions before, and they've gone for several training. So they also know how to maneuver their ways when it comes to building counter intelligence measures as against what government is doing. So we are dealing with people that are also intelligence sound, and they're also gathering their own intelligence. Even before Gumi and the SSG of Niger left their location in Mina, the bandits were monitoring them. They had people on ground that are monitoring, confirming that these people are already leaving Mina. They are heading towards also particular direction. They have people in communities along the route that are also giving them information that these people, the convoy has reached this location. So we must not lose sight of the fact that we are not dealing with neophytes here. These are people that have been sustaining, criminality and banditry over the years. Now, are our intelligence agency failing? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that as long as we are not getting to where we want to get to in terms of information to required action agency to do the right. That means we're not getting enough information. Are they actually performing? Yes, they are performing, in the sense that, and you see, the last time I made mention about how politics are mixed with this. When intelligence requirements are determined, there are objectives set alongside of determination of the intelligence requirements. What do they actually want to achieve? Was the information, or is the information required for you to be able to take certain decisions that are going to work within political consideration, or the ones that are going to be useful for the security agencies irrespective of your political desire? And this brings us about us having conflict in terms of our approach to how we've been tackling this banditry and insurgency. Now, let me say this clearly. Amnesty is reinforcing crime. Negotiation with bandits is reinforcing crime. And for any government, whether it be state, Zamfara, Kebbi, Nasarawa, or whatever, acting in conflict with what other states are doing is totally against national security. And that's why I've been, for the last few days, I've been calling for us to develop a national, for government to first of all declare state of emergency in Nigeria in terms of insecurity, where government would develop a national framework within which every subsector of the Nigerian economy, including the corporate organization, individual, political, politicians, religious organization, body, community leaders must work. Anybody that goes against that national security framework on how we tackle all those things, the person has committed a crime. It means that the framework must be about the also government that this is how Nigeria as a nation we want to address this issue. We are saying no to negotiation with banditry. Zamfara governor, thank you for what you have done, but this is what the law is saying. Nigerian government is saying, as because we are now under a state of emergency. This is the approach. Anything contrary to this, you are working against national security, and we can remove you, because when there is a state of emergency, a governor can be removed. But that doesn't mean that they will not be involved. They'll be involved. The policy, the framework will be broken down to all sectors: local government, state, federal level, community leaders, religious leaders, politicians. Everybody must work within this framework. That is the one and only way out. All stakeholders must be able to work within this. You see, what you see Gumi doing now is not somebody that is paranoid. There was a time not long ago that the bandits warned Gumi that they don't want to see him in the forest, that they will kill him. And it's some few months ago that they threatened him. So I see what they're doing in the last few months as a means of trying to win the heart and soul of the bandits, for them to see him as somebody that is on their side. So how can a nation be listening to a man that is trying to build cheap popularity because he's afraid that the bandits might actually a plan to strike him? We've given that, some actions we've taken in a recent time, that we've given too much, space and latitude to certain, elements that are, that are more or less like with criminal intent, irrespective of that, under the toga of whatever religious status that they carry. As long as you come out to try to deodorize banditry, killing, you are also a criminal.
That's right.
There's nothing, no two-way about it. We're talking about people who go into villages, kill people, slaughter people.
That's right.
Go into villages and tell people you cannot have it except you pay us. Villages that refuse to pay them, they slaughter them. How would those farmers get justice?
That's right.
But asking for amnesty for such people, then it means that human should turn to bandits. If they should be given amnesty, then everybody becomes bandits. So that we'll all be given amnesty and government will start giving us money. Amnesty is reinforcing crime. And we are having a man that is having Stockholm syndrome as we speak now, and then we're giving attention. And then by now, media, if you look at Eon's intelligence, we seldomly carry things that he says. And at times when we decide to publish his statement, we're trying to show his foolishness to the world to see. So that for those who think that the guy is trying to make sense, can see there is still a stupidity in what he's trying to say. I think it's a period when the media is supposed to, totally blackout. And if you look at today, Shekau took credence for the attack in Maiduguri 2 days ago. Only whom Angu carried that. No other media platform carried it. Not that we are not aware. Intelligence is aware. We have seen that video, but we decide not to carry it. The reason is that as long as we continue to give Shekau our platform to be popular, we are reinforcing the criminality that is carrying out. If we decide to be silent about him, then we'll see that even if he decide to take responsibility for action, nobody's going to talk about it. They become unpopular. And to me, I think there are a lot of things that we ought to be doing and we're not doing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sheyi. And you've more or less opened the can worms, because those are the kind of things that we talk about on our platforms. And many people do not know that you guys are always looking at different ideas, different methodologies to move things forward. And before I go to Ambassador Roy, let me ask Mr. Chidi, because you've been involved in you've been in the front line, and I've been there. You know, you've seen what happened in Iraq, Afghanistan, or Iraq, that you've gone on top. Why is it so difficult from a Nigerian perspective? Because I know, having been to a military, gone to a military school, and I see what soldiers do, that they develop a military civilian relationship. They build bridges, they help to do a lot of things. There are so many ungoverned lands in Nigeria. Even Afghanistan, the other places where we're talking about ungoverned land, you still have military presence. Why is it that Nigeria is so full of ungoverned lands and they seem not to have a solution to address it? Mr. Chidi.
Well, I think we can do this topic to death, and it becomes a little bit depressing, because the main reason why we have all of this huge ungoverned space in Nigeria is because we effectively don't have a government for the people or by the people. You have a government that is there, and this is not particular to any government. It's all the Nigerian governments virtually since independence have sought to serve only the people within it and the people at the top of it, the ruling class. So everything is for themselves. So whilst Nigerian universities are closed, our leaders think nothing of celebrating their own children's graduations in foreign universities, while our hospitals are essentially mortuaries. They think nothing of going abroad and then bringing the whole cabinet down to the airport to welcome them or their children when they come back. These things just reinforce. I mean, we've just had the classic example a few days ago, where the Minister of Defense literally called villagers who have been persecuted, attacked for years, for decades, called them cowards. That why don't they stand and fight? While he himself is surrounded by bodyguards. He himself, who is calling people cowards, didn't go to the village by himself, drive himself there and walk around. He went there surrounded by bodyguards and soldiers, but those villagers are cowards. And in the same sentence, he said, but we won't let you carry weapons. This is the level of dysfunction and incoherence that that governs that country, and it goes back to the first point I was making about the nature of our ungoverned, about the nature of our country, the nature of ungoverned spaces. So I travel, about the country whenever I go back, and the insecurity. Sometimes I can say this crazy. It's crazy. It sounds crazy, but sometimes I feel safer in Maiduguri than I feel in Imo State, or in Port Harcourt. The kidnapping in Port Harcourt is as bad as what is happening in Zamfara. It's just that it's not, you don't hear about people coming in hundreds with motorcycles, but every day people are being snatched off the road, snatched from their houses, from their offices, paying huge ransoms. It's even a joke, even going to, before we used to, with our friends, we go down to Bonny or wherever it is. You jump in a boat. Now you can't do it. You calculate and you think, when are you going to go? If you want to go from Port Harcourt to Owerri or to Enugu, you calculate when you're going to go there. Certain roads that you pass, you call people. And this is in, as I said, one of the smallest, most densely populated parts of the country. Then talk less about in the north, which is huge, or in the southwest, which is huge, with forests, hills. It's just purely a lack of governance. And you have people, governors, and we're talking about governors, those are the most visible ones. Again, I'll focus on my region, so it doesn't look like I'm talking about other places. You've got governors, in this past week or 2 weeks that we've been talking about, the Nigerian Army and Air Force, conducting operations in Olu and also in Anambra State as well, Ihiala in Anambra State. What's the priority of the Imo State governor? He's fighting his predecessor. So I don't really want to focus too much on the politics of it, because it's pointless and it's depressing and it's not really my expertise. But it's all the fish is rotten from the head. So the entire country is poorly governed, poorly run, and the people who are at the top really don't care, because they're fine. Their families are abroad. Again, another example from the Eastern region. We're talking about getting vaccines. We don't have a plan for vaccines. We don't have a plan for how we're going to distribute the vaccine. But a governor, again, from the Southeast, his wife was quite proud to video herself getting a vaccine in another man's country. No sense of shame or irony or any kind of thinking that this might not look good or this is good. It's a status symbol. This is how important I am. And that's what our politicians will do. So I can guarantee what will happen when vaccines eventually come to Nigeria is that all our political leadership will get it. Their friends will get it. The rest of the vaccines will be used as gifts to some as patronage. And then I can almost put money on it. A huge proportion will then go to waste because there will be no system to distribute them. but focusing on the security issue. So essentially what I'm saying is that the ungoverned spaces are because the country is not governed. That's as simple as that. But I just want to touch on some of the topics that were just covered by, by my esteemed colleagues just now. I'm talking about publicizing terrorist videos or enemy videos or whatever it is. And I get the point, and I get the logic that you don't want to give these people the oxygen of publicity. You don't want to make them, you don't want to turn them into heroes or martyrs or stuff like that. And the Bring Back Our Girls one is a classic example. If it wasn't for the Bring Back Our Girls, Shekau, not that he wouldn't be this vicious, but that was a huge boost to his brand and to his activities. But I think we're missing a central point. If we don't show that video, if we don't talk about it, if we act like it didn't happen, doesn't mean it didn't happen. People still died. People's children, parents, cousins, husbands, wives, colleagues died, were injured in that attack. Human beings. Do their lives now mean nothing? We won't talk about it. So Shekau claimed it. That's not a problem. We should let him claim it. And then we should put it on his head. What we should be doing is creating a narrative and owning that narrative. So we want to turn around that every time there's an attack, we want to say, yes, okay, yes, Shekau came close to Maiduguri. He attacked Maiduguri. He caused casualties, but this is the man who kills Nigerians. He kills innocent people. We should create and own a narrative and not run away from it. And this is why you see an attack taking place. I mean, I remember, again, another very fascinating example. Marte was just recaptured. A few days ago, when Marte was overrun, some of us were saying, oh, Marte has been overrun, Diko has been overrun. What are we going to do about it? Or we're having a conversation about it. And there was an attack by, people online. Who told you Marte has been overrun? No such thing. A few days later, those self-same people who were attacking those saying Marte has been recaptured were saying celebrate that Marte has been recaptured. But it's the same city or town that we just said was never lost. So the logic is, so my point is, first, we need to have a coherent narrative. You can't say a town was never lost and then celebrate it's recaptured. It just makes you look stupid. I have to use that phrase. There's no other way to say it. It just makes you look stupid and unprofessional. You have to have a narrative. Yes, we lost Marte. We're going to take it back. What's wrong with saying that? And you can make up any number of reasons. We drew troops out of Marte to go and recapture the Timbuktu Triangle. We drew troops out of Marte to go and hold Damasak or to go and defend Ran. And because of that, we lost Marte. Now we're going to take it back. Watch what happens. And then, you build a whole beautiful story around it. You video it, you do all this kind of stuff. And then that way you have a story. But here you have our troops will get captured. Our government will deny it. And then ISWAP or Shekau or whatever will show a video of the people you said were never captured, executing them. It is stupid and unprofessional.
Thank you so much. Because you've raised, but before you go, let me ask you a question, because I want to bring in Dr. Ibrahim before I bring in Dr. Ambassador Roy. Let's talk a little bit about Alu and the military operation that is going on there, because a lot of people are really concerned. A lot of people in the diaspora, that it seems as if the military seems to be used excessively in certain regions, and in certain regions they seem not to be used at all. What is your view about what is going on in the southeast, and what you think the people are thinking in terms of their mindset about the Nigerian state and how it handles security issues?
Well, so I'm going to try and be as diplomatic as I can, and that's, as I'm sure as you can tell, that's not really my strong point. There's several things with that. The first thing is that IPOB is genuinely popular. So I have relatives, I go to their house, they've got Biafra this, Biafra that, all over the place. They're talking about all this and all this stuff. So there's a genuine popularity amongst a certain type of Igbo person, but amongst another certain the IPOB is really hated. But IPOB, whilst they have great structures and popularity, they do not have any military power. Like I said, these boys that they are calling Eastern Security Network, outside the videos that they've made, I don't see any structures. I'm not saying that maybe there's not one or two of them, but not to the point where they can take. The people taking on the military are just normal armed robbers. These are armed robbers, kidnappers who are using, just as you said, as was just said by my colleague, about they've taken on this thing that has been published about ESN, and when they tackle the police, ESN will claim it, and they themselves will be quite happy to be claiming ESN to kind of pretend like they're not really just kidnappers and bandits. Like I said, it was just near my place. These kidnappers went out and had a dispute amongst themselves, opened fire. I think killed one of themselves and killed some other civilians. If you go online, that incident was portrayed as the Nigerian, and they said, "Oh, the Fulani Nigerian army came and killed people in so and so place." When it was kidnappers fighting themselves, Igbos killing Igbos. So we're hitting on several very, very key points, and the first is narrative, information warfare. IPOB is a very ridiculous organization, but what is good at is information warfare, and the crudest, most ridiculous form. So it sends out so many different messages, and once in a while they stick and they have an outside effect. So the one they did before, when they said the Nigerian army was giving out monkeypox, they were vaccinating people with monkeypox, it caused a mass panic. It's ridiculous, but it worked. This one again, they've made some videos because they see what's happening in the southwest and everything. They've made some videos and said, "Oh, we have ESN, we're clearing Fulani." They've sent some boys and some dogs to go and burn some innocent people's houses, and they've made some videos, and they're doing it to generate a reaction, and they've now got that reaction. This is what they want. They want to generate a reaction. They want massacres of Igbos in the north, because that's what seems to happen a lot in Nigeria, so that they can turn around and tell people, "Well, you see, we told you, oh yeah, come to us." So that's the looking at it from their side. Now, looking at it from the government side, this provocation is very easy to see. And as I said, it all boils down to basic governance. The police presence in that area is very, very poor. The police there are generally poorly trained, poorly equipped, and they are not in the least bit interested in law and order. These kidnappers have a free reign. If I'm going home myself, now I'm personalizing this as much as I can. If I'm going home myself, I can't go there and stay and maybe not bring, security with me, or, either you have to hire vigilantes or you have to bring police. And even if I go there, I don't even want to hire the police from that area. You have to bring police from somewhere else, because those ones, they're in cahoots with the local criminals. So what we're boiling it down to, as I said, the information warfare elements that IPOB is using information warfare to create a crisis, the complete lack of governance and security by the Nigerian state, where, as I said before, relating to all the other stuff, they can't create a coherent narrative to defeat IPOB. And they can't, implement normal law and order and just arrest these criminals. So they send the army and the air force to conduct air strikes. And then that, again, feeds the circle back to IPOB, who then turns around and says, "Look, we told you these people are coming to kill us and wipe us out, and now they're doing it." And the final thing I'll end on is just, again, from the information warfare side of life, that for most of us, like, I was born after the war. My parents, didn't see the war, though a lot of my family did. But anyway, I'm not sure if there's any other Igbos on this call, but for every Igbo person, the war is part of our memory. It's part of our what we know and what we understand. And air raids is not a joke. The memories of the air raids is passed down. What our fathers, what our uncles, what our aunts, what our mothers tell us about the air raids is not a joke. So just conducting an air raid in Igbo land, they have done IPOB's work for it.
Much, because you've more or less raised, very, very serious issues. But let me go to Dr. Ibrahim that is joining us. What's your view about the insecurity challenges in Nigeria at the moment? And what will you, if you have an opportunity of, giving your own suggestions on how to move us away from this tension situation that we're in right now, what would be your suggestion on that? If anybody's watching us right now, you can like this page, you can share this page, and you could tell your friends that we're live right now. We're live on Facebook, we're live on LinkedIn, and we're live on YouTube. So go ahead, Dr. Ibrahim.
Yes, come again, please. The voice was not very clear for me to hear.
Yeah, I was asking that the ongoing situation in Nigeria at the moment, what's your view about the ongoing situation in Nigeria right now? Yes, I could hear you.
Hello.
I said, what's your view about the insecurity situation in Nigeria right now? It seems as if we have a connection problem with Dr. Ibrahim. Let me quickly share a video.
A very serious issue. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I said it's
We're
a
listening.
very
Go ahead.
serious issue. But if I may add to what the last speaker said on information management, as the audio is.
Go ahead. We can hear you. Go
Hello?
ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead. Okay, let me quickly share a video because I think while we're sharing a video, we'll go back to Dr. Ibrahim to make sure that his network is
I said
okay.
the situation
Let me just share
it's really bad in the sense that a lot of people generally have this feeling of insecurity. People are not feeling they are secured anymore.
And find safety when necessary.
From the north to the south and every other. Okay, I said the situation.
Go ahead. We're listening to you. Go ahead. Go ahead. We're listening to you. Okay, I might have to come back to him because there seems to be a loop. Let me quickly share this video and then I'll go to Ambassador Roy to give us his view about this.
The responsibility of everybody to keep alive.
Okay. I said the situation is not very the situation is not very pleasant. In that
will come,
people are scared. There is panic in a lot of areas in the country.
When they fire shot, everybody runs. In our younger days, we trying to fight any aggression coming to us. I don't know why people are running away from mano thing like that. They should stand and let these people know that even the villagers, they have the competence and capability to defend themselves. But our own duty is to ensure no Nigerian is hurt and we're capable of protecting the integrity of this nation. And we will continue to do it even though we are so stretched.
Are you supporting?
Okay, you've had it. I'll go back to Dr. Ibrahim in a few minutes. But let me quickly take your view, Ambassador Roy. You've heard what the Minister of Defense has said there, that people should pick up their arms, and in fact, Mr. Sheyi, of course, did highlight that when he was talking earlier. And we've not heard anything about the other agencies like civil defense, immigration, in terms of what they are doing in this field. What would be your advice, to all the other agencies? Because all we hear about is just the police and the military. What would be your view on this?
Okay, well, it's unfortunate, okay? And, this morning, I and Dr. Kabiru Adamu, were talking on Cyberbed. And Dr. Kabiru was trying to help him to coin it to mean community resilience. That is, the people must be resilient to crime. So he's trying to help him to manage that communication. I think that communication was totally out of place. And this is the same communication that the other presidential aspirant, I think he was former CBN chief or something, that was invited by the DSS. There are so many people that have made this kind of comments. They were invited by the DSS, telling people to take up arms. And you don't know how the civilian community will interpret an action on that, your advisory. So I would look at that and say it has gotten to the point, definitely, where every school should have a security committee. And that committee should be populated by parents who have their kids in that school as the greatest asset of their life. So your child is definitely your greatest asset. And if they have security practitioners or agency personnel having children in that school, they should co-opt and plead that they should join the security committee. And that committee should begin to look at how to relate with other bodies within its space and immediate environment and expand in that axis. And that's the way the churches, the mosques, the gated streets, estates, everybody, villages should begin to form that unit of security concerned persons. And with that, you can begin to build liaison with the agencies that are related to your immediate crime. So if the criminality in that your area is porosity for movement for illegal persons, then the immigration should be interrogated to hold that to ransom. If it is drug abuse and use of drugs, then the NDLEA should be communicated in the language that they will understand. When I say in the language that they will understand, is that that community, that group of persons that are threatened by that exposure should invite whoever is heading that agency to a media discussion about the matter. You should take it up. It should go viral that certain agency is in charge of this, and this is what they are doing, trying to curb it, and they are aware because we are pushing it before their appropriate desk. Then you will now see a situation where the community themselves, the people themselves, need to begin to contract private security practitioners. You know, the security architecture of Nigeria that we have has been restricted to the military and the police. When the police run away, the military comes in. When the military comes run away, then people like Shigumi and some governors will come in and start negotiating with criminality. So we need other agencies, their responses to be activated. We need them to be directed appropriately to areas of threat and vulnerability that is their immediate concern. The NSCDC is there. There are critical government infrastructure that is being threatened. And the NSCDC, their responsibility falls in that line. And they have been given the mandate to carry arms. So I don't see why they should not be on our railway lines and driving away all those guys that attack it. I don't see why they will not be around the pipelines. I don't see why they will not be around areas that we have critical government infrastructure and begin to form security posts in all those places. So that means before I move from XYZ place, I will come to a formidable immigration post. I will come to a formidable NDLEA outpost. I will come to a formidable NSCDC outpost. I will go just like that. And all the other agencies, the FROSC, should be up to date with what they are supposed to do with monitoring movement of vehicles on federal roads. So by the time you begin to put all of this together, you can now see that we need to also look at forest rangers. We were busy forming SARS, empowering SARS, approving SARS to abuse human rights, and we forgot that the criminality that we are looking for, they are in unpoliced areas. And let me give it like 60% or thereabouts of our unpoliced areas are in the forest regions or non-built up areas. So we didn't think about forming forest rangers, equipping them either by using scooters, Okada, by using horses, camels. These are things that they can use to penetrate all those areas. Monitoring with drones, with helicopter to back up the guys on the ground. Formidable ranger teams. And we need to look at all of that. We need to encourage the private security practitioners, private security industry to provide personnel in areas that the people are feeling paucity of government security agencies, and they should be given the approval to carry arms. I don't see any reason why the government is afraid to give approval to private security industry to carry arms. Let me give you two key areas that it can work. One of it is that you can ask private security companies to get their own approval. They will be streamlined, their management team will be streamlined, their operational team to be streamlined, to see that basically they are populated by former agency personnel that have carried arms, that have their discharge documents, that are mostly on pension, and they are falling within the age bracket of active personnel. Then we will expect each of the people that wants to carry arms and work with private security companies to go to the NSA or the Minister of Defense on any of those levels and get guard company arm carrying license. So I have my license. I walk to August Eye Security, which has its license, and they give me a bit or a VIP to protect, or a school to protect, or an estate to protect. And I go to the nearest police post, I sign for my weapon. When I'm done with my duty, a vehicle carries me, or I hand over to the incoming personnel. So I have the legitimacy to protect my license. So I must work within the concept of ethical expectation. And the company that posted me there, it is having the legitimacy to protect its license. So you will now see that I'm protecting myself, the company is protecting itself, so that our licenses will not be withdrawn. So we can carry arms and protect the people. Everywhere in the world, in developed countries today, people carry arms. Yes, there are abuses. But now that we have not given the approval, we also have the abuses.
Okay, let me ask you in one word, will executive order be the best way to make this work? Because with Nigeria, if they say you go and start getting 2/3 of the senators, you have to pay a lot of money for them to even allow anything to pass through. Will issuing of an executive order be a way in which the president could say, you know what, civil defense security companies to carry weapons, limited weapons, and police work with them to make sure that they have the appropriate skill set to be able to deploy it? Will executive order be the best way to do that? Yes or no?
No.
Ambassador Roy.
And I believe you will ask me why. See, Temitope,
I said, will it be the best way? Yes.
Does not.
Yes, sir.
Executive order does not work in Nigeria. You need to be an executive to give an order. Then when you give an executive order, who are the recipients of that order, and what are the actionable desks for that order? There are many executive orders that have been given that have been abused. See, we need a law from the House of Assembly, the Senate, the legislators. We need them to put down a law, approve it as a law in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We need these approval levels to follow processes. We need those processes to be fast, quick, and authentic. And we need to have that liaison with necessary agencies that we might find ourselves working with while we have our approval to carry weapons. And we need to know, we need to designate what category of weapons will be approved. After you designate, then you need to agree what kind of persons will be the first line test run to carry arms for private security agencies. Definitely it will be people that have left the DSS, people that have left the military, people that have left the police, that have been psychologically cleared and they don't abuse substances and they have their psyche intact and they have given the green light to go. So that is what we need to do.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Before I bring in Ambassador Professor Ali Alao, let me just quickly play this video and then I will get your thoughts on it. Please listen.
Unfortunately, as I'm speaking right now, as those people were arrested, the QRS person, through the order of the Commissioner of Police, were asking that those people should all be let go. And before this time, fortunately, some of our guys were able to capture this thing with their phones. So we have pictures of the fake army uniforms those people were wearing. We are going to play for the whole world to see. The 18 AK-47 recovered by the police. Police have allowed them to take them all back. This is the same war sword that was pronounced. Like your police have been, we've reported this thing to the highest order. We've reported it to the presidency, to all the arms of the security agencies. And nobody has taken steps to address it. So they're leaving Akwa people to defend themselves. Meanwhile, they are using our own oil money to maintain security. Just recently, this crude account that was kept for our own people had been used to acquire military weapons. We didn't know those weapons were used to come and intimidate our own people. So we've called on all the powers that be. We've called on the international community that this is a war that has been declared. I've never heard where Nigerian police is a partisanship. This is the first time where the entire police structure belonging to a particular political party. But since we don't have the police, we don't have anything except God that we have on our people. We want to let the whole world know that whatever happens in this state is caused by the police, not any other arm of the agency. But the
Let me bring in Professor Alio. You've had just 1 minute. I'm just trying to stop this video. You've had the views of Ambassador Roy on this matter, and he's giving us his view on why he thinks the executive order will not work. It's better to just allow it because in Nigeria things are not done the way we are used to, and we're hearing a sitting governor saying that the police are responsible for the problem in their state. And Chidi more or less aligned to that when he said that look at some of the challenges they are having in those areas in the southeast. What, in your opinion, is the solution to Nigerian challenges? Because at the end of the day, they're saying that if you declare state of emergency, from a political perspective, most of the states that will be affected might be APC states. So the president might not want to do it, coupled with the fact that the president was able to get rid of Goodluck Jonathan democratically because he said he was coming in to get rid of Boko Haram in 3 months. So if he brings in, state of emergency, then more or less what that means is that he's not been able to get rid of Boko Haram. So what is your view on that before I bring in Dr. Ibrahim and then Mr. Sheyi? Go ahead, sir. Prof.
Thank you for this question. Basically, I would like to touch on what the sentiment from Ambassador Roy. Basically, even the most strongest country in the world today that we all refer to as USA, despite the military sophistication, technology, name it, they still have a private security agency that they rely on, be that of the one we saw in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and beyond. Here in UK, I believe we have 4GS that really kind of like complement RAF and the rest. Blackwater in America and others I can't really put their list. Now coming to giving licensing the arms to the private security agent, without doubt, which kind of ammunition were we talking about? Because Nigerian police today, they are not as sophisticated as these bandits, these savages we see that dwelling in our forest. When we say our forest, I would like to even go beyond. Let me digress a little bit. Everybody's saying we have a porous border. Nigeria had no border. This and that. I would like to ask us to reflect on the video we saw when they went to that school in Niger State. If anybody really familiar with the weapons carried by these criminals, we are talking of RPG that can bring a whole aircraft down. So is it with just AK-47 you're going to counter this? I don't think so. So as a matter of fact, we don't need any kind of executive order, but we need the will from every individual, let alone federal government, from state to local government, all the way to local government. Everybody must see this problem as their problem. It's not a federal government problem alone, more so as well as state. Referring to what to answer the sentiment put into play by that governor from I believe Akwa Ibom. God is our savior, police is this. I mean, psychologically, come to think of it, it's like saying whatever go wrong from today on, we should just all point the finger at the police. I beg to differ. Is that not a blanket for the criminals? You can go out there, go and commit your crime in the name of what? The police failed to protect us, or they failed to do their duty. I mean, here we are in United Kingdom. You all know, police doesn't work alone. They work with every single community, let alone community policing as we know it here in UK. So, but in Nigeria of today, it's about everybody shifting blame or washing their hands. It has nothing to do with me. We are all playing victims in the expense of what? That community, the whole country called Nigeria. So I believe it's about time we have to be patriotic, not just by word, but in our action, also in our rhetoric. Again, I would like to reiterate here on this program, on this platform, regarding the so-called one scholar from the northern part of Nigeria that have been trying to play the gateway between the Nigerian government and this savage. I would say in all ramification, without holding my tongue for nobody, I believe this man doesn't speak for no one, is only speaking for himself. The reason why being, he should know better. This is somebody that have a military background, not just ragtag military background. I believe he retired as a colonel in the army. He should know better. His record is in the public for everyone to see. I don't believe he had the pedigree or he fit for that very purpose or that role he's trying to play. So this is my own viewpoint. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prof. Let me bring in Dr. Ibrahim. And I know that we'll be having problem with the network, but please, quickly, what is your view on the call for blanket amnesty as a solution to the problem in the northwest, north central Nigeria? What is your view as a Nigerian and as a scholar? What is your view, sir? Go ahead.
Amnesty for this kind of situation is not always the answer to problems that has to do with most especially security. Because in my opinion, there are many ways to deal with insurgency aside amnesty. It's a two-edged sword. While you are trying to solve a problem using amnesty, it has the other side of it, that it may breed more of these problems. Because let me give an example of what the Kaduna State governor said. If a Fulani man, for instance, I'm trying to give inference with what El-Rufai said, who has, it takes him time to get a particular amount of money over a period of time, now finds himself one way or the other getting more money in millions through crime. And you now come and say he should abandon that willingly, willfully, for no benefit beyond what he has. It's a difficult situation. We may look at these things in a theoretical form and say it's okay. But the reality on ground shows that in the long run, it has negative effects, because it will promote more people to go into crime, or worst, terrorism and other more higher security issues. In the name of, it will reach a level, the government will have to call us for a truce to discuss amnesty. So it doesn't solve the problem.
Let me ask you, it doesn't solve the problem. You've hit it that it doesn't solve the problem, but it looks as if Governor El-Rufai has been left out to dry, because he seems now to be faced with constant, or the state, Kaduna State seems to be faced with constant attack. And the bandit had the audacity to say that the governor disrespected them because he refused to negotiate with them. And since all the others, Katsina, Niger State, have negotiated with them, and he's refused to, they're going to punish the people. If you are going to advise El-Rufai on this matter, do you tell him to hold fast and not agree to be bullied by this mandate, a big bandit? Coupled with the fact that we still don't know the identity of these people. Although Gumi is saying that they are Nigerians, but we know that many of them are not Nigerians. So what is your view on that?
You see, in all honesty, Professor Ali had made a statement that security challenges, even the most sophisticated countries in the world have challenges with dealing with, especially insurgency and terrorism and other issues that we are facing today. But let us be realistic in the whole thing, and be truthful to ourselves. How many of the sponsors of these people are not ghosts? They are individuals. They live, they walk among people. What we have, the problem we are having is, to me, an uncoordinated intelligence processes, because law enforcement is ineffective without credible and viable intelligence. Now, what incentive are the security agencies giving to the public as an incentive to give credible information? I've been a victim of innocent information once, and the information ended up being turned by the same security agency. They tried turning it against me. So there is no incentive that will guarantee protection or encouragement to the public in giving credible intelligence to the security organization. Professor Ali made mention of UK, community policing, integration, and workings of the security agencies with the public in order to arrest situations, preventive measures. We lack or fail woefully in this country in the process of preventive security. We are more of reactive always. We are reactive. And today, in this global world we are living in today, no security agency will function effectively, no matter the kind of equipment or training you give them, except they have credible intelligence. And when you are dealing with insurgency, you are dealing with people that are living within civilian population, mostly dressing in a civilian outfit, without any writing on their forehead to show who they are. But the people within those communities knows who is who. But a lot of them are afraid to come out and talk. Now, who are their sponsors? How do they bring in arms? What are their logistic routes? Have we ever seen any person, high profile or any level, being paraded by the government or security agencies as part of the sponsors of these groups? Or have none been identified in the past or the present? When the government keeps quiet about certain things, just like the first speaker said, information management positively by the agencies and government is not properly managed. It is a problem. So a lot of things are happening, and these people are having safe havens in their operations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brian, because you have more or less, you've opened up a lot of kind of ones in terms of the type of questions that should be asked. Let me go to Mr. Chidi and just ask him briefly, and then I'll go to Mr. Sheyi. And Mr. Chidi, you've heard Dr. Ibrahim talk about the kind of questions that we should be asking, that military strategists we ask when they are dealing with issues. And I've seen your write-up on the kind of, the kind of things that they should be looking at. I was surprised that when the new chief of army staff was having this discussion with his people, they were using map to show us how they were moving, and things like that. You ask yourself, this is a country that's spending billions. What's happening to their drone? We've never heard of their drone moving or low helicopter dropping people from the sky, all those kind of things that we see with the British Army and all these things. I know we are nagging and we keep on nagging on the same issue, but what will be the solution? What will be something that you will see that will make you like surprised and say, wow, Nigeria is turning a leaf or moving things forward? Mr. Chidi.
That list is long now, so let me kind of bring it down and be concise. There's many things now. But I'm going to. I know maybe I do this a lot, but I'm going to bring it back slightly and say we look at a lot of things that we're not doing. If you notice any Nigerian army kind of training video, they always show people abseiling down from helicopters and all this kind of stuff, and you look and you think, under which combat situation are you going to be abseiling down from a helicopter? Unless you're doing like a hostage rescue on a tall building, you're not going to abseil into the bush when somebody's shooting at you. They'll shoot down the helicopter and shoot you. It doesn't make sense. But we could be doing air assaults. We could be doing parachute drops, if you want to do those kind of things. But we don't even need to go that far and do all that high-tech stuff. We can do the basic stuff. Which is very, very simple. Make sure every soldier has webbing, where he can put his ammunition rather than taping magazines together. Make sure every soldier has water bottles or a camelback, has good boots, has a Bergen, has, a backpack so he can put stuff in he can carry his load. Make sure he has dry rations. Make sure that, soldiers have uniforms there, and make sure that, rather than having 20 different vehicles, one from Pakistan, one from UAE, one from China, all with different engines, different fuels. You have one standard vehicle that everybody knows how to use, everybody knows how to drive, and just do basic things. We bought some tanks and stuff from China, and we bought some a very nice MRAPs from South Korea, and then next thing we saw them in a nice swap video. These MRAPs from South Korea, I think it was in a nice swap video, have been captured or burnt out. So you've got to ask yourself, well, when we buy all these new things, this great technology, bring in all these drones, and then we don't invest in the men who are going to operate them, then how do you expect to get anything different? Because if I've not been trained how to operate with a tank, if I've not been trained as an infantryman to operate with a tank, or how to deploy for my vehicle and get out, or how to get out of an ambush, then every vehicle you give me is just going to get ambushed. So the investment has to be in the people. Technology, I've said it once, I've said it twice, and I will die with these words. Everything Nigeria needs to win every single conflict we have is in Nigeria now. Shut our borders. except for maybe consumables like ammunition and all of that stuff. Shut our borders now. Everything we need is there. You train an army that can go in and fight, and is going to be able, and most importantly, that you can sustain, and you will win. When Sri Lanka won their war against the Tamil Tigers, a very similar intractable conflict. They emphasized, special forces after a while. The special forces never deployed ever by helicopter. They use technology, but they use technology to match the technology of their opponents. So they had battlefield radars because the Tamil Tigers used radar a lot. Used artillery a lot. So they used battlefield radars to detect. Say, Boko Haram barely uses artillery. They've attacked Maiduguri, but it wasn't a sustained bombardment. It was a shoot and scoot. So using battlefield radars is pointless. They had drones to spot the Tamil Tigers. When the Tamil Tigers used boats against them, they matched them and said, okay, you're going to use swarms of boats against us. We're going to use swarms of boats against you. So they outswarmed the swarm. So we need to fight at the level of the enemy. We're not fighting America or Russia or China. We're fighting guys on motorcycles with rifles. So if you train those infantrymen, those on the ground, and then you provide them the right logistics, they will win. We don't need all this technology, stealth fighters, and all of this stuff. Just guys on the ground going toe to toe and then knocking these guys out. Those who have been there will know what I'm talking about. Those guys are not superhuman. They are not great soldiers. It's just that this is their ground and they know how to maneuver around it. So my own belief is that we need to walk away from an obsession with technology. It's a long time since I've been out on the ground. But I remember, nowadays everybody uses GPS. I remember the last time I went to do a navigation exercise, I was very surprised. The guy I was with brought out his phone and was navigating, and I was there using my map and compass, feeling very old school. But that old school stuff, we need it. We can't keep relying on technology because, last, that guy, his battery died. So we were still that map and compass that we had to use to navigate our way out. So maybe because I'm of a certain age, I'm a little bit old-fashioned, but I believe that everything we need to win that war is in Nigeria now. But we just need to invest in the men, invest in their training.
I'm going to put you on the spot because, Mr. Chidi, I'm going to put you on the spot because I'm going to bring Ambassador Roy back so you could tell us from experience on the ground. Well, let me ask you, I'm a bit surprised. Whenever you hear about Nigerian recruitment, they're always recruiting for 18 to 25. I've never had, when I go to the British website right now, I can join Territorial Army straight right now without any force. In fact, they will be so happy for me to come in. If not because of COVID, they will tell me, just jump into Woolwich, Arsenal, and come and do your exercise. And I had a friend that was traveling all over. We used to enjoy it because, I was in Kent Police. He was in the Territorial Police, Territorial Army, and we take time off. And our employer was happy for us to go. He would go to Germany, go to France, go to this, going for different exercises. Me, I'm going to go and do what I do, But Nigerian police, Nigerian armies, either they are recruiting for cook, or they are recruiting for drummers, or they are recruiting for clergymen. I've never heard them say, we're looking for technicians. We're looking for, why is it that they are so 17th century or 7th century in their recruitment strategy? Why can't they just say, we want people to come in that will just come in for 2 years, do whatever they want to do and get out? Or even bring in their reserve, which in Nigeria, there is already embedded in the military law. Why is it so difficult from your perspective? Because at least you could talk from being in the British Army. Why is it that it's so easy for us to join the UK Army, and it's very difficult to do that with Nigeria?
We'll go back to what I said earlier. Now we do not have governments. We've never had a true government in Nigeria that is there to rule the country for its benefit. You've got people who have got power and want to preserve their power, and unfortunately, new ideas are very scary to them, and new ideas are threatening to them. So, without disparaging, anybody, the focus, and even these people said it themselves. The focus of maybe the last chief of army staff was his loyalty to the president more than anything else. Even when he retired, he was saying that his appointment was a gift to his father, a reward for his father for his loyalty to Buhari or something like that. These it's not something that's hidden, that people are not recruited or are not promoted or recruited or appointed on the basis of their abilities. But in terms of the Nigerian, what you said is exactly correct. Now, if I had my way, I would first and foremost, I would change the terms and conditions. I would say join the Nigerian army for 4 years. If you want to extend after 4 years, all well and good, but join for 4 years. You will maybe at the end of the day, you will not get a pension, but we'll pay you higher for that 4 years. And I would say maybe for the first intake, I will only take graduates. And there's enough the graduates in Nigeria that you can man a division with them that will want to join the Nigerian army for. And then I'm not saying that the ordinary non-graduates are not good soldiers, but take these guys and you're training them mainly to create these thinking soldiers, to create these kind of proactive soldiers who will go out there and do something innovative. And you can extend the age. It doesn't have to be 18 to 25. You can go from 17 to 30. And then, once somebody hits 18, you can deploy them. And you open up your recruiting pool. Not that we don't have a huge recruiting pool. And then you become more innovative. You can say, okay, you've done your 4 years. If you sign, you can either sign on again for another 4 years, or you can sign for like a 4-year, as you just said, reserve contract, where you go back to your normal civilian life. But when alarm blows, we call you and you come forward again. And you come and do what you need to do. And then you tell everybody who leaves the army at a certain age, you go into this reserve cohort. And when the time comes, we'll call you back and we'll just massively expand that force. So what we're doing is we're getting an army on the cheap. Rather than spending a huge amount of money, recruiting soldiers, and then, you have to pay them pensions. And then at the end of the day, as I said, they don't even pay them the pensions. I'm sure others can say better than me the amount of horrible stories about people dying waiting for their pensions. So you cut out that problem altogether by saying, we're recruiting you for this duration, we're paying you a higher salary, there's no expectation of pension at the end, but after 4 years, you've done your bit, you go. Or 2 years or 3 years, whatever the time difference. And then that way you boost your army, you have these soldiers, and then you have special recruitment drives. You say, we're recruiting for people who we want to join special forces. I say for this year, special forces will only be graduates. Or Air Force will only take people who have 2-1 or first class, and that way you make it competitive. And again, I'll go back to Sri Lanka because it's a very interesting example. It's not perfect, but it's an interesting example. They themselves had a period during the war after they'd been defeated for so long that people didn't want to join the army. There was a lot of contempt for the military. And they turned it around, and it goes back again to what I was saying about, owning the narrative. They changed it and they started and just like we have now, the Tamil Tigers had a very good media kind of output, very reliable. We put out information regularly, contradicting the government, showing them up. Government will say, so and so and has not fallen. They will show videos of themselves in the town. We capture, the same thing that's happening to us. And the Sri Lankan government changed it. They got a really slick media operation. They made movies, TV documentaries about the military, made it really sexy, really fashionable. And people started joining, to go and, do their job and go and fight for their country. So again, all of this is linked. With good governance, owning the narrative and focusing on the people, I think that's the main elements that would, make these situations be resolved.
Thank you so much. Let me go to Ambassador Roy, because this is your area. So if there's anybody that knows what is happening, you should be in a position. What is happening in Nigeria, for God's sake? Why is it that, sometimes I get so angry, I see 1.5 meter, you must be 1.5 meter, you must be, these are, when I joined the UK police, for example, they were recruiting, they will send you a letter at home straight away. Why is it that it's so difficult for you to say, the Nigerian army to say, come and join us for 1 year? Do you want to work? Are you fit? Can you move? Can you carry X amount of, if you watch our TV now, there's so much advert. They are showing women, they are showing men, saying, do you want to join? You could join, people could join from an intelligent perspective. They could even have big tummy, but they are bringing them in to come and read maps. People that read agriculture, people that read, all kind of things. Why is it so difficult in Nigeria? Everything has to be 7th century recruitment strategy. Why is it that way? And what are you saying to them? Because I know you meet a lot of them, because you dine with them. You're a big man in Nigeria. in the army. So, what is happening in the Nigerian army and Nigerian armed forces, sir?
Well, you have said that you want to put me on a spot. And this is the hottest spot that you have been able to achieve since I know you. Okay, but the truth is, whether we run away from it or not, we must agree that we copy models, but we don't grow models. Everything that we copy in Nigeria, we don't copy the growing strategy. Once we copy, we hold it as if we brought a gold medal. And by the time people are using model 10, we are still with model 2. Let me ask you a question. Have you seen the number of Nigerian military that go for foreign courses abroad? Even our current president, if you check his profile, you will see that he has been trained in one military institution or the other abroad. He's the current ADC to the president. He's going for a training now. And all of this recycling takes place. And when they return back to Nigeria, I don't know what part of the training they leave behind and what part they bring. If you look at our politicians, when they travel abroad, you will see them on a queue, carrying their own bags, their own phone, their own everything, no aid, no data. But once they come back to Nigeria from the airports, you will see aids running up and down to carry to the most smallest things on his hand. So when you see that kind of structure, the police structure, the military structure, all of them are still not expanded to accommodate the current international dynamics of change in necessities to curb insecurity. Okay, why is in the army? Why is it that the number of other rank in the Nigerian army that abscond, that retire voluntarily, that are dismissed because of maybe arrogance or something, or they are just depressed? Why is that number higher than the commissioned officers? You see, the structure for the commissioned officers is even plaguing their minds, but they manage it because it takes you to a level where you can have influence to manipulate the economy that comes into the military, whether you are an adjutant, whether you are a CO, a brigade commander, whatever. You begin to see opportunities to manipulate and divert funds for some personal benefits. But the soldiers, the rank and file, they don't have that opportunity. And they didn't go for the trainings that you go. But they managed to educate themselves. From the local, go to Unilag, go to UI, University of, okay, for those of our friends in Diaspora, University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, Akure University, all the universities that run security and intelligence courses, criminology courses, go and look at the number of police constables, NDLEA rank and file, NSCDC rank and file, military rank and file that are educating themselves. They grow in that light to having a master's degree in security and intelligence, interrogating international best practices. And they have the opportunity, sometimes they push themselves to do online courses on in security and criminology and international best practices, on peace and conflict and mediation and conciliation. These same people will now be made to fall under a command and control system that is mediocre, that is refusing to expand its scope into the international expectations. But the criminals that we fight, the terrorists, the bandits, they said they are not educated, but they have access to certain kinds of training that are beginning to put them. Did you hear what Mr. Sheyi said? Sheyi said before Shigumi left to meet with the bandits, they were tracking his step-by-step travel, all his itinerary, his entourage. They have penciled everything out within their enclave and with the network they have created. So why can't we allow our curriculum for the military to expand the scope to capture these international best practices that we have seen when we were going for training? Why can't we permit certain levels of persons to join the military? I told you last time, Temitope, when we were talking, I said, if I don't need people to apply, sir. I will go to University of Lagos, I will go to University of Ibadan,
Looks as if we have a problem with the connection of Ambassador Roy. Let me try and bring in our last video, and then I would ask us to give a 1 minute.
Students that you see, some of them have distinction.
Just
some of them
bring in that last video, and then I will ask you to give me your views of that last video. Just 1 minute. We are getting to the end of the program now, so everybody will have a 1 minute each. And I just want to show this video so that, okay.
Nan dukan mu ba shiga gari daga daji sai kat ya zo samai roket gando kawo ta nan shiga da ita bidiyo ne bidiyo da a masu rafel
You all saw that video. I'll go back to you, Ambassador Roy. You've seen that video. I know our connection cut off briefly. But those bandits holding our children, those bandits holding our children are saying that they will even starve them. And these guys are boasting. It's as if they've been empowered. And we have reserve soldiers that are willing to come back and come and help, in liberating Nigeria from this stronghold of bandits who are not even trained to face the killing machine of Nigerian army. And yet it seems our military strategy, it's wrong, completely wrong. Why is it that the military are not making use of our reserve army? And if you have one message in 2 minutes, for people that are listening to us, what would be your message, sir, on the way forward?
Well, unfortunately, Temitope, we don't have a reserve army. Let me tell you something. Every officer of the Nigerian military right now that is due to leave, they are immediately finding ways to get soft landing. Because when you come out from the military, you are bare. you immediately become a beggar. You always find yourself going back to the constituency where you came out as a king, asking for favors that are legitimately yours. There is no way that you can have a reserve military in a country that does not have a welfare package for retirees. As I speak to you, every kind of treatment that you do in the health plan that this country has designed for its veterans, you pay. I lost my right eye while I was in the military. And today, anytime I go to the hospital for my glasses, I pay. I lost my denture as a paratrooper. Anytime I replace my denture, I pay. And I make this statement every time. For those that cannot find themselves in opportunities where they have finances to be able to manage their health system, then the trauma of running their home with paucity of funds, how can you bring that man that is aggrieved, that man that is traumatized, you want to bring him back as your reserved army? He will take that weapon and walk into the National Assembly and start shooting. All the people that you see today that are veterans, that are supposed to be in the catchment where you can call back. Do you know there is something called Security Debarment Allowance, SDA, in the military order and constitution? Do you know that till date, I have not been paid my SDA? The Security Debarment Allowance is supposed to hold you not to use your skill against the state. So as I speak to you now, as a bomb expert, if I am found in one trouble spot, teaching rebels or anybody how to make bombs, how to use weapons of mass destruction, do you know that the army and the federal government cannot hold me responsible? Because it is a trade I learned, and they didn't pay me my Security Debarment Allowance, which restricts me not to share that knowledge that will be used against the country. Minimum wage that was just approved for like 2 years now. All the state governments are dabbling into, we can pay it, we cannot pay it. The federal government has not been able to implement minimum wage for its #1 citizens, the military veteran. And the ones fighting right now, they are looking outward to say, when I go out into the reserve, am I going to be like these people? Because they see them every day and we interact. We have the same platforms. So my brother, if this our federal government wants to help itself, it must begin to come out of this rigid structure. And if you go and look at every university that run courses for security, take the database of the graduating students, send them emails, tell them to come to Abuja, Port Harcourt, and one other state, maybe like Kogi, and make it national. You will see millions of graduates that have master's degree in security. Send them email. Don't go to don't publish. Go to the school, pick the results of those that made excellent results, send them emails, and they can come into the military and sign for 5 years. Some can sign for 5, some can sign for 10 years. They are coming with a background of intellectual experience, and you must expose them to most of the international best standard of military tactics, and you will see what will happen. These are a catchment of people that, because of their basic education, might refuse to be manipulated, might refuse to be intimidated, and we quickly have this patriotic aura around them that we made them attack the insecurity with all the galvanized federal might that have been given to them. So I think we are not ready, and I'm sorry that we have forgotten that the reserve that we said we have, they are dying every day.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Roy. Let me bring in Dr. Ibrahim as we round up and bring in Professor Leo afterwards. Dr. Ibrahim, you've heard what Ambassador Roy has said, and he's raised a good point, because the issue is even the dog guarding the president cannot survive on 3,000 naira a month. But 3,000 naira a month will be like 1,000 naira food, and I don't think any dog will feel happy to eat 1,000 naira food a day, because if you put a proper food for a dog, they must eat more than 1,000 naira food a day. So that means the dog will die if you are feeding him even on just 30,000. And yet we cannot feed our own people on 30,000. We can't even pay the minimum wage of 30,000, which a dog in Asu Rock will not survive on. What is really happening to the Nigerian state? And is it that our politicians have lost the sense of compassion and nationhood? We see presidents around the world, they are all happy, they talk about their people. And okay, look, let me just give a classic example. And I'm sorry, I'm meant to be an anchor, not a commentator. But we look at America and the president coming out to mourn the fact that they lost 500,000 people. We've never seen the flag of Nigeria brought down for a milestone that we lost a lot of Nigerians. To say, okay, let us clap for all the people that are doing medical work during this COVID-19. So we are even owing them money. And yet that doesn't mean that ex-politicians are getting. I've never seen an ex-governor, ex-special advisor coming out to protest on the street that they are not getting their money. So it looks as if the political class know how to protect themselves. But the real people on the ground are the ones taking the brunt. What is your view on this?
Thank you very much. What the ambassador said is very critical, and it goes to underscore the issue of our decision-making processes and the conflict between politics, vested interest, and patriotism. A lot of our policymakers, decision makers, and the political class, I'm sorry to say, are not patriotic. It has become almost like a business venture where personal interest supersedes national interest. The reason why most of the developed countries you see certain things functioning is because the system is greater than an individual. And processes are not interfered by individuals no matter who they are. Nigeria's problem, in my own perspective, is a system problem, not infrastructural problem. Because if you pump $1 trillion in Nigeria today, I can bet you, come back 5 years from now, that money will disappear and we may still be where we are. So our problem is a system problem. Individuals, the system is tied to individuals. It does not operate independent of the individuals and decision makers. So unless we as a people, and another problem, the public, the people, seems not to understand their rights and their capacity to manage and check the political class. We look onto government as the final entity, forgetting that as a people, we have more power, united. We have allowed our diversity to become our, nemesis, rather than to become our strength. We've allowed the political class to divide the system in terms of religion, tribe, and other sentiments, so that we will not be strong enough as a people to challenge or interrogate the policy delivery processes and hold individuals accountable. So it's a multidimensional problem, but I will want to see a situation where individuals in this country, from the lower, the middle, and the high class, begin to change our orientation about our state of being in terms of relating with each other, because the problem we have cannot change the politicians. We cannot change the politicians at this level we are. Come another 2, 3, 4 years, the same people will recirculate in most cases, and the process continues. Ambassador made a point about the dilapidating condition or the sorry state of the retired members of the armed forces. It cuts across the entire civil service structure. Most people that have retired, if you look at their living condition after leaving office, most of them is pathetic. That discourages those in service to be patriotic, public servants. Rather, they begin to fend for themselves, to prepare themselves for retirement, because they know the system has no plan. It has a plan on paper, excellent plan on paper,
but not in practice.
But in reality, it does not function. So it has become an issue.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Ibrahim. Let me bring in, because Prof, in 1 minute, if you have any message to the Nigerian government on security management, what will be your 1 minute message today? Then I bring Mr. Chidi, I will close up, because we're losing people as a result of the network. So in 1 minute, sir, Prof.
Thank you once again. In a nutshell, what I would like to say is this, to every single able Nigeria, let alone government, when they say government, they say government for the people, by the people, for the people, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a saying that goes that an angry man is an angry man, or hungry man is an angry man. Look at, when we say government, as Doctor said just a while ago, I mean, everybody is there, not really patriotic. The patriotism doesn't really trickle down apart from what anyone can gobble. Everybody's just fending for themselves. As the says goes, God for all of us, everyone for himself. So until we really change the narratives, our mindset in terms of the way we view the nation, we don't need to invent new wheels. The laws are there, but it's implementation of these laws that have not been felt by the populace. So I believe until we start not just by saying, but by doing, that patriotism, nothing would change. That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Mr. Chidi, as we're rounding up now in 1.5 minutes. So if you have, we know the Kagara issue is still ongoing. Those kids are there. One of the kids was killed in the process. We're not hearing anything about police specialist unit working with the family, supporting the family. All these things are, I don't know, they're practical things that we could do, that we could support them with from the diaspora. Give them, even if they don't know, we can help them. And it seems as if everything just seems to be done upside down in Nigeria. If there's any advice you give to Mr. President now in terms of how to manage this situation or how to move forward, 2021, he said he's going to get rid of Boko Haram completely this year, but the Americans have already started raising concerns about, sexuality issues, which might mean that they might even stop weapons. But you've already said that we don't even need some of those weapons they are running out to go and look for. What we need is train these people. All these, even a 15-year-old in the UK will beat these bandits, in arm-to-arm combat if they are well trained in 3 to 4 weeks on how to do it, properly. So if there's any advice you give to Nigerian government and to the military leadership now, what would be your advice to them as we round up?
Well, my key, if it was me, the first thing I would do is I'll be very honest with Nigerians. I will first come out and I'll declare a state of emergency. I'll state the state, but be clear that state of emergency doesn't mean the abrogation of anybody's rights or anybody's. It doesn't mean that there's a license to maltreat people, but just a recognition that the country is in a crisis. and then I will give very clear instructions to the chiefs. People saying things like, or the president or the chief are saying, we'll defeat Boko Haram in 1 year or by 2021. It's ridiculous. And again, I'm going to be blunt. It's ridiculous. Everybody knows it's ridiculous. Boko Haram will be with us for, even if everything went right from this point forward, Boko Haram will still be with us for the next 10 years. So then we have to be honest with ourselves. That's the first thing. Be honest with ourselves, and then implement an immediate security sector review. That includes all the uniformed forces, the military, the police, NSCDC, and then starts prioritizing. Do we need EFCC and police? If we do, okay, no problem. Do we need to have ICPC, EFCC, police, MOPOL, all these different forces, NCDC, NIMASA, Navy, Air Force, all these agencies? Be real. Start consolidating. Start standardizing, and at the same prioritize training for your troops, and increasing the size of the military, and then focus. And then this final thing that I would emphasize is start looking for non-kinetic effects to solve these problems. So, like I said, the problem in the southeast is not a military problem. It's a problem of criminality and a problem of messaging. It can be solved very easily without any violence. The problem in the southwest is not a problem it's not a military problem. It's a law and order problem. It's a community relations problem. Make it a simple thing that you damage somebody's farm, you will pay compensation. That's it. Everything there's no need for anyone to kill anybody. And then those farmers, then those headers themselves, once they've gotten, and same thing if you steal someone's cows, you're arrested and they'll get compensation. Then those headers themselves will tell you, see, the bad boys are in the bush. They'll be the ones pointing out these things to you. But because nobody had faith in the system, everyone does everything the way they want to do it.
Thank you so much. We are rounding up now. Thank you, everyone, for coming on board. I really appreciate you and for all your messages from Lagos, to New York to Germany, everyone that have actually joined us this evening. And to all my guest speakers, Mr. Chidi, Professor Ali, Dr. Ibrahim, Ambassador Roy, and Mr. Sheyi. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on board. We'll do it every Tuesdays, every Thursdays.
Are we done?
For this night, I will say thank you so much, everyone, and God bless you. And we hope Nigerian gets better and everything return back to